So this is the 2024 Mazda MX-5 Miata. It happens to be the RF, so you got the retractable folding hardtop, and it's a Grand Touring, so kind of a more luxury trim spec. I've had this car for an entire week, and honestly, it's been a heck of a lot of fun. So in today's video, we're basically gonna do a full 1 week review, what it's like actually living with the Mazda Miata. Is this something you can own on the day-to-day? Is it more of a weekend car? It certainly is an iconic drop-top sports car. So let's get right into it. Now, one thing cool with the Mazda Miata, it doesn't weigh all too much. It's around 2,500 pounds and it has a near 50-50 weight distribution. So already this car definitely has some handling characteristics that are pretty neat. Under the hood, you are gonna find a small engine. Doesn't weigh much, so it's not like it needs that much power. But you have the Skyactiv 2-liter inline 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, with 181 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. Still good for 0 to 60 under 6 seconds. Now you can of course get this with a manual, or this one actually has a 6-speed automatic. Of course, it's also a rear-wheel drive car. So being the RF, you have that retractable folding hardtop. You can press the button and it's gonna automatically do its thing. Pretty cool the way everything works. The hard tonneau cover goes back and you got the hardtop that is gonna go ahead and cover the interior. It takes about 13 seconds to do so, and you can do it going 6 miles an hour. Now, one of the drawbacks is the fact that you have to be going under 6 miles an hour to operate the roof. I've been in a lot of convertibles where you can go like 20 or 30, and that makes it incredibly practical when you're out in the real world. Slow speed traffic, it's really easy to operate the top. I did find with this car, you pretty much gotta make sure you're at a red light stopped and hope that it's gonna take more than 13 seconds for the light to turn green, maybe in your driveway, backing out, pulling in, stuff like that. So I really didn't have the best opportunities to operate the top while in traffic, just kind of on a whim like I have in other cars. So I really would like if Mazda made it to where you could at least go 20 miles an hour. I think that'd be a lot more usable in slow speed. 6 miles an hour is really, really slow. So I would like that to be a little faster. Now, other complaint with this car, it is really small. Now, one of my good friends owns one. So he has a club with a 6-speed manual, cloth interior. I'm not sure if it's just because of this being the automatic or having the leather seats with the Bose audio in the headrest. I don't know if this is a thicker seat, smaller pedal box, but at 5'11", I do find myself a little on the cramped side. I have the seat slid forward enough to where I can recline it good. However, I still have about an inch of headroom. I feel so on top of this car. It is very different than the cars I own and that I'm used to driving. My shoulder is way above the door line and everything, and my knees can hit the steering column and the dashboard. So I honestly feel a little cramped. I wish I could slouch a little bit lower, then my knees are really cramped, and then my back is a little sore. So to have all the support of the seat, I don't know, I just feel a little cramped. However, my opinion doesn't really all too much matter because people love these, people own these. It's a very popular car. I just think, depending on your proportions, if you're nearing 6 feet, you might be a little cramped, as I was. Even my wife, who's a lot shorter, felt a little cramped. Passenger side, the transmission has a big bump in the floorboard there, so it's a little cramped as well. Now, moving on to more things about the interior. One thing, there's no touchscreen. Now, I know a lot of people have commented on our Mazda videos in general, saying you can activate touchscreen in the settings. I have searched in here and honestly haven't really seen anything. System settings, nothing really tells you that at all. So I wouldn't mind this being a touchscreen screen. It works fine. You know, you have your navigation, all the basic information, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So it's a fine system. I don't mind the screen. It's kind of tacked on there, but it kind of looks good. Other than that though, it's a simple interior. You have all your climate controls. You have a simple drive mode select for sport and normal. You get paddle shifters, nice little gauge cluster with a small screen, which is kind of nice. You have a few things you can cycle through, like some vitals, trip info, as well as some cruise control. It's a small car, like I mentioned. When you're in here, I mean, you can touch the base of the dashboard, but you have a nice use of materials, Nappa leather seats. I like the tan two-tone on here, and the body color on the upper doors is a really cool touch. Now, one thing interesting, the cup holders are behind me. You can even pull out the passenger side one and slide this into a different location and have another access point. So that is a really cool touch with these. One drawback with them being right behind you, if you have cup holders behind you here, the glove box, you kind of can't really open it given they're gonna be in the way. So it's a small car, you gotta work with the small footprint. Some things are hard to reach, like these buttons here. You know, my arm's a little long for that. But nonetheless, it's overall a pretty cool car. This one is just under $40,000. You have garage door buttons on it as well. your standard cruise control system and some safety technology, heated seats as well. So it's overall a pretty nicely appointed interior. It's a fun car to be in, just a little on the cramped side, which makes sense given this is a Miata, but overall, not a bad interior. Last few things are the exterior styling. Side profile, it is a nice compact looking sporty drop top. Definitely has good proportions all around, especially in this Aero Grey. And then at the back, you're gonna get updated set of LED taillights for the 2024 model year. Has a nice sharp design as we've seen on the newest Mazda Miata for the last couple of years. And overall, the front end has a nice sporty appearance. You're gonna see some sharp body lines to it. I don't really think there is a bad angle on the Miata. It looks sharp, it looks fun, and it has all the characteristics we know and love from the small drop top. And a great little feature with the car, you can actually tap a button underneath here, and you can see you can pop open the trunk. You got about 4.5 cubic feet of cargo space. However, you can do a Costco trip. It will certainly fill up the entire trunk, but we were able to use this going to Costco. Unfortunately for my wife, she had a cooler and a case of water in her lap and at her feet. So of course it's a small car, but it is useful enough for what the average person is going to need. All right, so driving in the Mazda Miata, what has it been like for the week? Number one, you know, the convertible is pretty fun. With the top down, you get a pretty enjoyable amount of air. It's just barely grazing the top of my head, so it's nothing annoying even at higher speeds. And then the small wind diffuser behind me, that clear piece, does a good job where nothing's like hitting you from the back of the head. So it's a really comfortable convertible. You can just enjoy it. And with the top off, of course, you know, you have miles of headroom. It's a pretty cool car to be in. The performance and fun factor is totally there. I've smiled a lot with this car. Now you can go into a manual mode. Sport mode really just makes it a slightly bit more aggressive in automatic, so not really gonna make much of a difference. But the handling in this car is a lot of fun. It just takes turns like nothing else. There's a lot of body roll, but it just grips. It is so lightweight, the center of gravity is low. It is just a car you can play with in the turns, and it is so much fun. That is why people buy the Miatas. Mountain road trips are where this car shines. And the cool thing is, it's not that fast where you're never really breaking the speed limit. You can just floor it, drive this car like you stole it. And you're not going to be hitting 100, you're not going to be doing anything really all too crazy. So I've been enjoying that aspect where it's a car you can use every bit of what this car has to offer. There's a lot of fast cars out there that I personally love, but a lot of times they can be overkill. The Miata is never overkill in any circumstance. Normal driving, this car is pretty comfortable too because it does have a very soft suspension. It's pretty forgiving actually, and it's really not all too noisy on the highway. So it's a car you can daily drive. I think the only sacrifice is the size. Like I said, I just feel a little cramped in it. I wouldn't mind being able to push the seat back about another inch. I think that would really help me out. I just feel a little tight. But other than that though, you can just pedal to the floor, have a little bit of fun, squealing the tires, and that is about what this car is designed for. I don't really think there are many true complaints with it aside from just inherently what this car is. Obviously, a small Roadster isn't going to fit everybody's taste. You know, my wife and I, we felt a little like this car was a little too small for us for just our day-to-day needs, which is perfectly fine. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there to where they don't really need much stuff. They don't really need to have the extra storage. But this car is definitely miles per gallon. It's a lot of fun and still very economical. You have a really good view around, no blind spots at all. When you're going on the fun roads, it's just kind of like a little go-kart. So I've enjoyed my time with this car. I appreciate a lot what the Miata has to offer because it's just a fun car without breaking the bank. You can get these under 30 grand, the soft tops, you know, manual, kind of a base model one, or you can load them up pretty nice to this spec, or you can even get the sportier ones with the more aggressive bucket seats, the Brembo brakes, things like that. So you can truly get a Miata that's gonna work for your taste. So yeah, that's kind of my overall thoughts with the car. I guess the biggest things I would change, being able to do the roof at like 20 would be fantastic because unless you get a stoplight or pull off, off of the road, off of traffic, you're not putting the top up or down, which I think that is a big drawback. With a convertible, it's really, really nice to be able to do the top whenever you want at a reasonable speed. I think 6 miles an hour is a little ridiculous. It should be faster. So that was the one complaint I would say I had. Slightly cramped for my personal taste. My other complaint, and just being it's compact, there's no glove box, so you are stuck with the one behind you, which I always have a water bottle, so it kind of makes it difficult to gain access to it. But those three are kind of the only real complaints, just kind of user complaints. They're certainly subjective. Not everybody is going to have the same opinion on that. But if you're buying this car, I think you're buying it because you just want a fun drop top without breaking the bank. Something, I've only burned like a half a tank of gas in a week. So this car, you can just drive, enjoy it, drive it like you stole it, and you really can have a worry-free ownership experience. And the Miata has been so popular for decades, and I can see why. It's a fun car. You just want to drive it, have fun behind the wheel. This is definitely a car that a lot of people can get on board with. So I hope you guys enjoyed my 1 week review of the 2024 Mazda MX-5 Miata, the RF Grand Touring. Fun little car. Yeah, you can just rip around and smile the whole time. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.